Hi there, it's Martin from the AppMaster.io team, and in this guide we'll talk about several functions such as RSA signatures and generating QR codes. Let's start off with RSA signatures. RSA is a common cryptographic method to sign your transactions on the web. This tutorial is too short to explain the functioning of RSA, so you can read more about it on the internet. In AppMaster.io, you can use RSA signatures together with the crypto module. Before you'll be able to use these functions, you'll have to go to the module section and install it in there. You'll be able to choose out of several hashing algorithms, such as MD5 and SHA variants. Let's see how we'd use the SHA-256 RSA signature. To actually sign our transaction, we'd first need a hash of our message and then the private key. As an output, we would get the signature, which we would be able to send, for example, as part of our external API request. For actually verifying the signature, we have another block. Here again, we get a hash of our body, the public key, and the signature. That, for example, we get from an API request. In here, we'll get the result, true if the request is valid, and false if the signature is not. Let's build a simple business process for signing a message. We'll start out with an input variable of the message itself in string format. After that, we'll convert it into a hash. In this case, SHA-256. We'll connect the hash with the crypto module of RSA signature, and in the private key, we'll put our private key that we have already generated before. As an output, we'll get our signature and we'll output it. This will be in text format. We'll then be able to use the signature as part of an external API request. To see more about how to create API requests, head over to our documentation section or check out another video on the YouTube channel. Let's now talk about UUID. Universally Unique Identifier is a popular method to create unique identifiers for objects, either software or hardware. On the AppMaster.io Studio, you can create UUID v4 codes, which are totally random and don't depend on the date and time of their creation. You don't need to have any special module installed. Just head over to the Functions tab and bring out the Generate UUID v4 block. It doesn't have any input parameters. When it is activated, as an output, you'll get your unique ID code. You'll then be able to use it as part of an object that you save in your database or for an external API request. Let's also have a look at how we can create QR codes within the studio. Before we proceed so, we'll have to create a new data model in our data designer to be able to view our created QR codes either on the front end, so mobile or web, or access them through the API. Let's create a new empty model and call it QR. We'll also add a new field representing the file that will be created. Let's save our schema and go on to the business logic section to create our business process. Let's call it make QR. As the input, we'll have the data that we want represented in our QR code. For example, a link to a website in string format. We'll then get the make QR code function, which will accept this data and give the file as the output. Now keep in mind that although it has a file type, it is only a reference, an ID, to the file that is stored within AppMaster. It is not the actual contents of the file. So to be able to access it, we'll have to create a new model that we have just designed in our data designer. The ID and the rest will be automatic, and the file will be the file that we have just generated. Now, remember that the make function only creates the data model within the business process. To actually save it to our database, we have to use the create model function. As the output, let's output our final model. Great. Let's save the schema and create a new endpoint to be able to actually access this business process. Let's call it make QR, put it within the QR group, and connect it to our business process. As the input, we have the data, and at the output, we have the model. Let's now go to our web apps, and as you can see, we already have automatically generated table with all of the data that we have in our QR codes database. But we need a way to actually create this QR code. So let's create a new page and put here a form of create records and connect it to the endpoint that we've just created. As you can see, here we'll be able to put our data, and let's add a button to actually submit the form. On trigger, form, submit form. And let's call it submit. Let's save our changes and publish the application. Now we will be able to access the published application from within the project overview. And in here, in our deploy plans, we'll be able to find the server URL. Let's access it and log in. As you can see, we already have our database. For now, it's empty. So let's put in a new URL, for example, over here, and press submit. Success. Let's go back to our database. And as you can see, we have this new record with this QR code. Now, if you want to test out, you can now pause the video and scan it with your phone, and it will direct you to the Google website. Let's finally talk about App Info. The App Info function will give you information about the current app, such as the project name, its version, its build number, the build date, the host name, and finally the environment type on which it is running. The last part is especially useful, as with it you'll be able to perform different types of operation depending if you are running a development or a production environment. You can do that with a switch block. Just drag it onto the canvas, connect the two, and here you'll be able to define different process flows depending on the environment type that you are currently running. For example, making different types of requests depending on the environment type. I hope that you have enjoyed this small guide. If you have more doubts, head over to our documentation section on the website or chat directly with our team in the Telegram chat. Thank you and have a great day.